friends. So the term gaslighting is really having a moment in the last couple of years. I feel like it went from being an obscure reference to a 1944 movie starring Ingrid Bergman to being all over the internet. So I thought we should do a couple of videos about it. This is the first in a series of 3, where we will talk about what gaslighting is, how you can tell if it might be happening to you, and some ways you can outsmart the gaslighter and protect your mental health. But before we do that, let's talk about what gaslighting is not first. Disagreeing with someone, especially during a conflict, is not gaslighting. Gaslighting is an intentional way of deceiving people by denying that something happened for the purpose of trying to make the recipient doubt their own sanity and the validity of their memory. It is an emotional abuse tactic. It isn't just 2 people having a heated debate about what the best TV show of all time is, and one insisting theirs is the only right answer. The right answer is the Twilight Zone, by the way. Anyway, so now that we got that out of the way, do any of these phrases sound familiar to you? Stop imagining things. I never said that. You're remembering things wrong. You must be crazy. That's not what happened. What are you talking about? I didn't do that. It's not my fault. It's your fault. You twist things. If you hear this often in an interpersonal relationship, whether it be from a partner or a friend or family member, then you might be experiencing gaslighting. One of the reasons why gaslighting is sadly so effective is that it tends to be covert and subtle like that. It will play out over a period of time. This is by design, intended to gradually erode the victim's confidence. With less confidence comes more confusion and more self-doubt. The more self-doubt you have, the more you become dependent on someone else to clarify what happened, namely the perpetrator. Now, just a moment ago, I gave you a few examples of things gaslighters commonly say. Now, let's talk about 4 of the tactics that they most often use in an attempt to manipulate. The first one, discrediting. The gaslighter will accuse you of being easily confused, or that you make things up, or that you don't remember things correctly and only they do, in an attempt to make you seem unreliable or less capable than you actually are. Trivializing is number 2. The gaslighter will often minimize your feelings, saying they are ridiculous so that they don't really matter, or that you're making a big deal out of nothing. They will say these things most often when you are discussing your feelings about something they have done, of course, in an attempt to once again confuse and diminish you. They may also tell you things like that you always overreact to everything. It's funny, so often when a gaslighter tells someone that they're overreacting, it's actually not that at all. It's more the case of the person acting accordingly to the gaslighter's bad behavior. And about that, listen, if someone hurts you or does you dirty in some way, it is okay to react strongly. It is okay to call them out on it. It is okay to be upset or angry or however you want to feel about it. Your feelings are valid, despite the fact that the gaslighter will try to convince you otherwise. The next one, diversion and countering. When you call the gaslighter out on their behavior, one of the first things they love to do is change the subject. If they do talk about it, they will make up new details or whatever else that will help convolute the story. Often, they will use a word salad with very few croutons of sense, because they are hoping that you will be too busy trying to figure out what the hell they're actually saying. You'll be too busy scratching your head and wondering instead of thinking about the words. And if diversion doesn't work, then they fall back on a tried and true gaslighting technique, countering. They will turn the situation around to be about you, and sometimes even accuse you of doing the things that they are actually guilty of. The irony, huh? And denial. When you mention something that the gaslighter said or did, sometimes all of a sudden that memory of theirs that they claim is so much better than yours becomes fallible. They claim they don't remember it happening, or try to convince you that it never happened at all. Again, this is an attempt to confuse you and make you question yourself. So when you recognize it happening, you've got to try to stick to the facts and not get caught up in this ridiculous head game that gaslighters love to play. All this to say, gaslighting is basically an abuse power play that is used in order to gain control over another person. It's a form of cognitive manipulation designed to change the thinking and behavioral patterns of the other individual in order for the gaslighter to continue to act however the hell they want without consequence or to gain something. With gaslighters, it's always all about them being in charge, them being right, them being the one who knows what they're talking about, and their victim being the unstable, crazy, irrational one. So now you know a little bit about what gaslighting is and some different tactics that gaslighters use. In next week's video, we will talk about some of the feelings you experience when you have been subjected to gaslighting. I'll see you again next week for part 2.